Hello friends, today we are going to deal with a very important topic, that is syllogism rules. But before going to deal with these rules, we need to understand what is meant by syllogism. Syllogism is any deductive argument in which a conclusion is drawn from two premises. It has three components: major premise, that is the predicate of the statement; minor premise, the subject of the statement; and conclusion, which is the proposition affirmed on the basis of other propositions in the argument. For example, all roses are flowers. It is the major premise. This is a rose. It's a minor premise. And on the basis of these premises, we have a final conclusion. Therefore, I am holding a flower. Rules of syllogism are 6, and they mainly apply to categorical syllogism because it is the only category that requires three components: major premise, minor premise, and conclusion. For example, no heroes are cowards is a major premise, some soldiers are cowards a minor premise, and therefore some soldiers are not heroes is a conclusion based on these premises. Before going to deal with these 6 rules of syllogism, we need to understand some basic terms of syllogism. They are a major term, which is the predicate term of the conclusion; a minor term, the subject term of the conclusion; middle term, the term that appears in both premises but not in the conclusion. It means that the middle term is present only in the both premises, but it is absent in the conclusion. Major premise, the premise which contains the major term; minor premise, the premise which contains the minor term. For example, all animals are mortal is a major premise. In this premise, animals is the middle term and mortal is the major term, as it is the predicate of the conclusion. All men are animals is a minor premise, and in this premise the word men is a minor term, and again we have animals the middle term. But we can see that in the conclusion the middle term animals is absent. Only minor and major terms are present in the final conclusion. Therefore, all men are mortal is the conclusion based on these two premises. There are 4 kinds of categorical propositions, and we need to understand these propositions in order to deal with the rules of syllogism properly. Categorical proposition is a proposition that can be analyzed as being about classes or categories, affirming or denying that one class S is included in some other class P in whole or in part. There is a chart like proposition form, name and type, and example. The first proposition form is all S is P, and its name and type is A universal affirmative. It is also called A proposition, and example is all lawyers are wealthy people. Second proposition form is no S is P. Its name is E universal negative, and it is also known as E proposition. For example, no criminals are good citizens. Third one is some S is P. It is I particular affirmative and also known as I proposition, and example is some chemicals are poison. And then some S is not P. It is O particular negative and known as O proposition, and its example is some insects are not pests. Let's deal with syllogistic rules and syllogistic fallacies. A syllogism may fail to establish its conclusion in many different ways. To help avoid common errors, we set forth rules, of course 6 of them, to guide the reasoner. Any given standard form of syllogism can be evaluated by observing whether any one of these rules has been violated or broken. Mastering the rules by which syllogisms may be evaluated also enriches our understanding of syllogisms itself. A violation of any one of these rules is a mistake and it renders the syllogism invalid. Because it is a mistake of that special kind and we call it a fallacy. And because it is a fallacy of the form of the argument, we call it a formal fallacy. There are 6 rules of syllogism. Rule number 1, avoid 4 terms. A valid standard form categorical syllogism must contain exactly 3 terms, each of which is used in the same sense throughout the argument. In every categorical syllogism, the conclusion asserts a relationship between 2 terms, the minor term that is subject and the major term that is predicate. Such a conclusion can be justified only if the premises assert the relationship of each of those 2 terms to the same third term that is middle term. If the premises fail to do this consistently, the needed connection of the 2 terms in the conclusion cannot be established and the argument will fail. So every categorical syllogism must have 3 terms, no more and no less. If more than 3 terms are involved, the syllogism is invalid and the fallacy thus committed is called the fallacy of 4 terms. A formal fallacy that is committed when a syllogism is constructed with more than 3 terms. The mistake that commonly underlies this fallacy is equivocation. It means using one word or phrase with 2 different meanings. Most often, it is the middle term whose meaning is thus shifted in one direction to connect it with the minor term and in different direction to connect it with the major term. In doing this, the 2 terms of the conclusion are connected with 2 different terms rather than with the same middle term. And so the relationship asserted by the conclusion is not established. For example, all stars are heavenly bodies. Angelina Jolie is a star, therefore Angelina Jolie is a heavenly body. In this syllogism, we have all stars as heavenly bodies. This is the major premise, and in this premise the word stars is the middle term and heavenly bodies is the major term. In the second premise, which is the minor premise, Angelina Jolie is the subject or it is the minor term and a star is the middle term, and on the basis of these 2 premises we have the final conclusion: Angelina Jolie is a heavenly body. But the word stars here is used with 2 different senses. It is ambiguous word. It is the middle term having 2 different meanings. The first, stars, denotes heavenly bodies, means it denotes stars in the sky, and Angelina Jolie is a star, it means that she is the celebrity in the film industry. So both the words have different meanings. So the conclusion Angelina Jolie is a heavenly body is invalid argument. Let's look at the second example. Every police officer is brave. Mike is a police officer, therefore Mike is brave. The second argument is valid because every police officer is brave. This is the major premise. In this premise, police officer is the middle term, brave is a major term. Mike is a police officer, Mike is the minor term, it is the subject of the minor premise, and again we have police officer, the middle term. Both the premises are logically connected with each other, so the final conclusion we have Mike is brave is valid and it stands to a reason. Rule number 2, distribute the middle term in at least one premise. A term is distributed in a proposition when the proposition refers to all members of the class designated by that term. If the middle term is not distributed in at least one premise, the connection required by the conclusion cannot be made. Historian Barbara Tuchman observed that many early critics of anarchism relied on the following unconscious syllogism. The example is given here. All Russians were revolutionists, all anarchists were revolutionists, therefore all anarchists were Russians. This syllogism is plainly invalid. Its mistake is that it asserts a connection between anarchists and Russians by relying on the links between each of those classes and the class of revolutionists. But revolutionist is an undistributed term in both of the premises. The first premise does not refer to all revolutionists and neither does the second. Revolutionist is the middle term in this argument, and if the middle term is not distributed, at least in one premise of the syllogism, that syllogism cannot be valid. The formal fallacy this syllogism commits is called the fallacy of the undistributed middle. What underlies this rule is the need to link the minor and the major terms. If they are to be linked by the middle term, either the subject or the predicate of the conclusion must be related to the whole of the class designated by the middle term. If that is not so, it is possible that each of the terms in the conclusion may be connected to a different part of the middle term and not necessarily connected with each other. This is precisely what happens in the syllogism given here. The Russians are included in the part of the class of revolutionists by the first premise, and the anarchists are included in a part of the class of revolutionists by the second premise. But different parts of this class, the middle term of the syllogism may be involved, and so the middle term does not successfully link the minor and major terms of the syllogism. In a valid syllogism, the middle term must be distributed in at least one premise. In other words, the middle term must be universal at least once. For example, all beans are leguminous, mango seeds are beans, therefore mango seeds are leguminous. This statement is valid. All beans are leguminous is a major premise. In this premise, beans are middle term, leguminous is a major term, mango seeds are beans is a minor premise, and in this premise mango seeds is a minor term, that is the subject, and beans is again a middle term. Therefore the conclusion mango seeds are leguminous is valid. It is convincing. Look at the second example. Some lawyers are not studious. Marco is a lawyer. Therefore, Marco is not studious. This argument does not stand to reason, so it is invalid argument. Rule number 3. Any term distributed in the conclusion must be distributed in the premises. To refer to all members of a class is to say more about that class than is said when only some of its members are referred to. Therefore, when the conclusion of a syllogism distributes a term that was undistributed in the premises, it says more about that term than the premises did. But a valid argument is one whose premises logically entail its conclusion, and for that to be true, the conclusion must not assert any more than is asserted in the premises. A term that is distributed in the conclusion but not distributed in the premises is therefore a sure mark that the conclusion has gone beyond its premises and has reached too far. This is called the fallacy of illicit process. The formal fallacy that is committed when a term that is distributed in the conclusion is not distributed in the corresponding premise. The conclusion may overreach with respect to either the minor term that is subject, or the major term, that is predicate. So there are two different forms of illicit process, namely illicit process of the major term. It is called as illicit major, and illicit process of the minor term, also known as an illicit minor. To illustrate an example of illicit process of the major, all dogs are mammals. No cats are dogs, therefore no cats are mammals. It is invalid illicit major. The reasoning is obviously bad, but where is the mistake? The mistake is in the conclusion's assertion about all mammals, saying that all of them fall outside the class of cats. The premises make no assertion about all mammals, so the conclusion illicitly goes beyond what premises assert, because mammals is the major term in this syllogism, so the fallacy here is that of an illicit major. To illustrate an illicit process of the minor term, consider this syllogism. All traditionally religious people are fundamentalists. All traditionally religious people are opponents of abortion. Therefore, all opponents of abortion are fundamentalists. Again, we sense quickly that something is wrong with this argument, and what is wrong is this: the conclusion makes an assertion about all opponents of abortion, but the premises make no such assertion. They say nothing about all abortion opponents, so the conclusion here goes illicitly beyond what premises warrant. In this case, opponent of abortion is the minor term, so the fallacy is that of an illicit minor. More examples can be given of both illicit major and illicit minor. Every philosopher is brilliant, but no terrorist is a philosopher. Therefore, no terrorist is brilliant. This is invalid illicit major. All artists are creative. However, all artists are weird people. Therefore, all weird people are creative. This is the example of invalid illicit minor. In other words, the major and minor terms should only be universal in the conclusion if they are universal in the premises. The next rule, rule number 4, avoid two negative premises. Any negative proposition denies class inclusion. It asserts that some or all of one class is excluded from the whole of the other class. Two premises asserting such exclusion cannot yield the linkage that the conclusion asserts, and therefore cannot yield a valid argument. This mistake is named as the fallacy of exclusive premises. Understanding the mistake identified here requires some reflection. Suppose we label the minor, major and middle terms of syllogisms as S, P and M respectively. What can two negative premises tell us about the relations of these three terms? They can tell us that S, that is the subject of the conclusion, is wholly or partially excluded from all or part of M, that is the middle term, and that P, the predicate of the conclusion, is wholly or partially excluded from all or part of M. However, any one of these relations may very well be established no matter how S and P are related. The negative premises cannot tell us that S and P are related by inclusion or exclusion, partial or complete. Two negative premises where M is a term in each simply cannot justify the assertion of any relationship whatever between S and P. Therefore, if both premises of a syllogism are negative, the argument must be invalid or it must be negative. For example, no idiot is rational. Kurt is not an idiot, therefore Kurt is rational. It is the invalid argument. Rule number 5. If either premise is negative, the conclusion must be negative. If the conclusion is affirmative, that is, if it asserts that one of the two classes, S or P, is wholly or partly contained in the other, it can only be inferred from premises that assert the existence of a third class that contains the first and is itself contained in the second. However, class inclusion can be stated only by affirmative premises. The mistake here is called the fallacy of drawing an affirmative conclusion from a negative premise. If an affirmative conclusion requires two affirmative premises, as has just been shown, we can know with certainty that if either of the premises is negative, the conclusion must also be negative and the argument is not valid. Unlike some of the fallacies identified, this fallacy is not common because any argument that draws an affirmative conclusion from negative premises will be instantly recognized as highly implausible. Even an illustration of the mistake will appear strange. For example, no poets are accountants. Some artists are poets. Therefore, some artists are accountants. Immediately, it will be seen that the exclusion of poets and accountants asserted by the first premise of this syllogism cannot justify any valid inference regarding the inclusion of artists and accountants. In other words, if the one premise is affirmative and other negative, the conclusion must be negative. Some more examples are here. Some Filipinos are fiesta lovers. Diego is not a Filipino, therefore Diego is not a fiesta lover. This syllogism is valid because the conclusion is negative. Second example is some students are cheaters, but some students are not lazy. Therefore, some cheaters are lazy. This syllogism is invalid because one premise is affirmative and another one is negative. In that case, the conclusion must be negative, but here the conclusion is affirmative, that's why it is invalid. Rule number 6. From two universal premises, no particular conclusion may be drawn. In Boolean interpretation of categorical propositions A or E, universal affirmative A, all S are P, and universal negative E, no S are P, have no existential import. A preposition is said to have existential import if the truth of the proposition requires a belief in the existence of members of the subject class. I and O prepositions have existential import. They assert that the classes designated by their subject terms are not empty. I, particular affirmative, some S are P. O, particular negative, some S are not P. Already we have dealt with 4 kinds of categorical propositions. Aristotle held that universal propositions have existential import. On the other hand, the 19th century English mathematician and logician George Boole held that no universal propositions have existential import. George Boole is one of the founders of modern symbolic logic. Boole is now chiefly known for Boolean algebra, named after him. He applied algebraic techniques to traditional Aristotelian logic. Boole proposed a calculus for syllogism. It involved translating each syllogism in arithmetical notation. This idea led to invent propositional calculus and Boolean algebra. His chief works were the mathematical analysis of logic and an investigation of the laws of thought. The four standard form categorical propositions have the following meaning from the Boolean standpoint. A. All S are P. No members of S are outside P. E. No S are P. No members of S are inside P. I. Some S are P. At least one S exists and that S is a P. And finally O. Some S are not P. At least one S exists and that S is not P. This final rule is not needed in the traditional or Aristotelian account of the categorical syllogism because that traditional account paid no attention to the problem of existential import. However, when existential import is carefully considered, it will be clear that if the premises of an argument do not assert the existence of anything at all, the conclusion will be unwarranted when from it the existence of something may be inferred. The mistake is called the existential fallacy. Existential fallacy is that which is committed when in a standard form categorical syllogism a particular conclusion is inferred from two universal premises. For example, all household pets are domestic animals. No unicorns are domestic animals. Therefore, some unicorns are not household pets. If the conclusion of this argument were the universal proposition, no unicorns are household pets, the syllogism would be perfectly valid for all. And because under the traditional interpretation, existential import may be inferred from universal as well as from particular propositions, it would not be problematic in that traditional view to say that the conclusion in the example given here is simply a weaker version of the conclusion we all agree is validly drawn. In our Boolean view, however, the conclusion of the example, some unicorns are not household pets, because it is a particular proposition, is not just weaker, it is very different. It is an O proposition, a particular proposition, and thus has an existential import that the E proposition, no unicorns are household pets, cannot have. Reasoning that is acceptable under the traditional view is therefore unacceptable under the Boolean view because from the Boolean perspective that reasoning commits the existential fallacy, a mistake that cannot be made under the traditional interpretation. The 6 rules given above are intended to apply only to standard form categorical syllogism. In this realm, they provide an adequate test for the validity of any argument. If a standard form categorical syllogism violates any one of these rules, it is invalid. If it conforms to all of these rules, it is valid. Final overview of rules. Rule and associated fallacies. Rule number 1, avoid 4 terms and associated fallacies 4 terms. Rule number 2, distribute the middle term in at least one premise. The fallacy associated is undistributed middle. Rule number 3, any term distributed in the conclusion must be distributed in the premises. The associated fallacies illicit process of major and that of minor. Rule number 4, avoid 2 negative premises, associated fallacies, exclusive premises. Fifth rule, if either premise is negative, the conclusion must be negative. Fallacy is drawing an affirmative conclusion from a negative premise. And last rule, no particular conclusion may be drawn from 2 universal premises. The fallacy associated is existential fallacies. So these are the 6 rules of syllogism, and there are some fallacies are associated with each of these. Thank you.